All right. Well, it looks like we've got about 35 seconds to go before we start this call. But guys, my name's Miranda Martin. I am direct to Ryan Miller under Marshall and actually direct to Symmetry, Executive Vice President. Really excited, guys, because we have two ladies representing the Martin Bay Shop, but it won't be the Martin Bay Shop for very long with this group because this lady is on her AO run, basically, and she's got her team leader here with her today. And you guys are going to have an opportunity to hear from the #1 producer in my master agency for 2021. She was #3 in 2020, but personal production, she went in her rookie year from 140 to 250 to last year doing just shy of $350,000 of business. And her team leader and her Christina, their agency went from, or almost agency went from 300,000 in 2020 all the way up to 560 in 2021, guys. So this training that we're about to share with you guys today is actually one that this group has done for my master agency. And it is one of the most talked about and helpful trainings that we've done. So grab your notepads and pen, guys. This is going to help you close at a very high level. This is going to help dig into the client's why, generate emotion, but this is one that you don't want to be multitasking for. So grab your pen and paper. I'm going to hand it over to key leader Jasmin Pearson and team leader Christina Patti.
Thank you so much, Miranda. And it's such an honor to be here today and sharing our wisdom and our teachings that we got from you and our uplines and all our awesome mentors. So, and that's the whole concept, right? Everybody starts somewhere. Everyone starts at the same stage when you start this, this career here with Symmetry. And once I realized how important this part of the client presentation is, my whole business changed. So let me ask you, who has been in a situation before where you were in front of the client and you felt the wall? You felt it. Me for sure, Christina, Miranda, and I'm sure we have a lot of virtual hands coming up here. But if you've been there, please grab a pen and a piece of paper and write these solutions down, because it is the client's why. What we do is, guys, what we do here is emotional labor. We tap into the client's emotions. Otherwise, it's just another transaction, right? So the client's why is, if there is no pain, it's just another bill, right? So let me share my screen with you here. And the good thing is, I mean, maybe not a good thing, but if you mess everything else up in your client presentation, but get this right, you can still help everybody that you're getting in front of. So after we share our why, you know, we set the stage to dig into the client's why. This is where they realize that they have a problem. The fact finding shows the problem, and your quality questions clarify their need. The best way how to do that is, you know, to use your people skills, of course. Be approachable, be kind, be open. I know everybody gets nervous. Even me, after 3 years, I still get nervous. But if you go into a meeting prepared, like you do your risk assessments, you think yourself through their solution and just give your client a virtual hug, you help them realize and visualize the consequences. And I don't know about you, Christina, but before I started working here, I never thought about the consequences of my passing, or if I get severely sick or have an accident, right? So if we even haven't thought about that, do you think your client gave this a thought before? Really thought about the consequences if they get severely sick, disabled, or if they pass away? Put yourself in the client's shoes that they've never thought about this topic before. And it is our job to be sensitive and paint the picture and ask sensitive questions. Again, you know, before we show prices and before we talk about programs and everything, they must agree that they want a solution. Besides your people skills, painting the picture and visualizing the consequences, they must agree that they want a solution before you show prices. If the value is not created, guys, the price is irrelevant. It's just like when you're looking into buying a car, right? It doesn't matter if the car costs $150 a month or $500 a month. If I don't like a car, I'm not going to buy it. So it's our job to create a value. And once the value is created, test their desire for getting a solution by getting micro commitments. And if one of you listening in here today does not really know yet what a micro commitment is, it is part of a physiologically and psychologically the client agreeing with you. Small yeses in increments, in incremental steps, where you lead your client to the ultimate solution. And remember, you know, once you show prices, what do you become? A salesperson instead of a trusted advisor. We all want to be trusted advisors. So take your time going through this. Now, Christina, we're going to demonstrate the part in the script, the introduction into the why. And, you know, all of us, I want you to work slow through this, open up the client's mind before you drill deep into their why. And as you can see here on the screen, this is actually a snip of my script. I have pauses in there, you know, because I do still get nervous and I have to make sure that I let the client speak. And also be mindful that your thoughts are moving at a completely different pace than your client's thoughts. Let them grow into these questions, right? So Christina, if you could please be my partner in crime today. And we're going to play a little bit. Christina, if you could introduce yourself real quick, please.
Christina, Patti, team leader, direct to Jasmin Pearson. I've been here officially 2 years and loving it. I love my team and I love the Martin Agency as a whole. Absolutely. So nice to be with you.
Thank you. All right, Christina. So I'm just demonstrating exactly what I do every single time when I'm getting in front of a client. And this here is to help the client clarify the consequences and the problem they would have. So I'm asking a few questions. So Christina, can I ask you guys a few questions that might be hard to answer? Sure. I know that they might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but they really help me understand how I can help a family. So if something were to happen to you last week, God forbid an accident, you get severely sick, heart attack, cancer, a virus. I mean, nowadays there's more things that can get people than ever before. So God forbid that would happen to you. What challenges will your husband have moving on without you? What are your thoughts on that? What would that look like?
You know what? I don't think we've ever even spoken about this. So as far as my husband goes, we have, we're equal as far as our income goes. So, and we both need to work to pay our bills. And we have 2 teenage children. So if something happened to me, he wouldn't be able to stay in the house. I don't know what he would be able to have to do.
Okay. So role play aside, Christina, just me asking you this small little, you know, these few questions, like how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
Comfortable, right?
Yeah, it may to have to think about your spouse or significant other not being there and what you would do or what they would have to do is really uncomfortable and not something that we ever talked about.
So guys, listen, please. It's so important to have an introduction into the why before you bombard them with very tough questions. Christina is a professional. She's been doing this for a while, but even herself, if I ask her that question, she's like, oh, I don't know, it feels weird, you know? So take your time, don't rush through this, take deep breaths and just let the client talk. Ask them a few questions. You know, it's going to be hard to answer, but you're asking them for permission, which is very important. So once you open up the mind and the heart for your client, you're then ready to drill into the actual why. So I want all of you to have at least 7 to 10 quality questions prepared before you go into your client meeting. You have to go deep enough that you know that there is a problem. and that the client knows that there is a problem. And sometimes there is no problem. And then it turns into a luxury rather than a necessity, but you still have a chance to help people, right? So what happens a lot is an agent gets a surface level response. Like, for what is the surface level response, Christina? Give me an example.
I don't know. He'll survive. Um, They'll just have to move in with their family.
Yep.
He'll have to get another job.
Something like that. I'll be screwed. It will be tough. Oh, it's going to be hard. And the mistake that a lot of agents do is they just take that one answer and move on into looking into programs. Please don't. We have to sit here. It's going to be painful. It's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable for you to ask these questions. It's going to be uncomfortable for your client to think about answers, but we have to do this. Because if we don't, guys, when is the first time that your client is going to think about this, Christina?
There's an illness or a death.
When someone close to them passes away, has an accident, or has an illness. And it's our job for us to think through this now with them, so when that time comes, that they are prepared. This is our job, guys, right here, right now. And we get paid by the size of the quality of the questions that we're asking and the type of the questions that we're asking. So let's just role play this part here, how we're digging deep into the client's why. And you will be seeing that I will take notes, even if we're just role playing. So please always take notes. All right, Christina, knowing your cash flow from earlier before, after your death, your husband needs to generate $3,500 extra to keep your home. Now, let me ask you, what would he have to do to continue the lifestyle that they have now?
Yeah, so that would be really difficult. He has a full-time job now, working really 50 to 60 hours a week. So in order for him to make up that income, he'd have to get another job. And I just don't really even know where he would find the time to do that at all.
I mean, 50 to 60 hours and getting a second job, that's not even possible, you know? So, and even if it is possible, who would take care of the kids while he works 80 hours a week?
So I have two teenagers. I mean, they can stay home alone, but that is not the kind of life that I want for them, to be home alone without their father all the time. They need guidance and support. So for him to get another job or work more would really not be the right thing to do.
Okay. So if he can get another job and generate $3,500 extra, where would they move to if they can't hold a home?
Oh gosh. They'd have to move back with his parents. That's the only answer that I can come up with right now.
And where do they live at? Do they live close?
Yeah, so we live in Florida, and they live in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So they'd have to move back to Pennsylvania with his parents.
Do they have enough space for 3 more people?
So they do have the space for sure. Yes, that would be okay. It's just the moving would be the hardest part.
So moving from Florida to Pennsylvania with 2 teenagers, and I guess they're still in high school.
Yeah.
So he would have to rip them out of their safe environment with their friends and teachers and outside school activities and move from Florida to Pennsylvania.
Yep. That sounds like really the only solution.
And correct me if I'm wrong, would he then have to find a new job in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, he definitely would. This job wouldn't go with him, so he'd have to find another job, and they'd have to go to a different school. I mean, in high school, that would be horrible.
So awesome. So let's stop the role play real quick, because I don't know. I lost track. But Christina, how many questions did we go through?
I think, to be honest, I lost track too, because I was getting really nervous about all the questions, even though this is role play. I was probably like a good 6 to 8 questions. Yeah.
And did you notice the further we got, the worse the situation got? We could have went through at least another 10 to 15 layers, right? And that is what we're doing with our clients, guys. We're digging deep into the situation, right? So always important, let them speak and connect your next question to their answer. Our script has a set questions for each different situation. We have people that are single that have children. We have people that are single that don't have children, married couples with children that are still in school, elderlies that are widowed that are by themselves, elderlies that, live the senior life. But these questions need to fit to your client's situation and the program that you're choosing and your personal preference. So that's why it's really important to prepare the scenario in your mind and write it down even before you go into the client's why, into your client's meeting. So yes, go ahead.
One great thing that you just said that I want to reiterate is to let them speak. It's so important that after each of these questions that you ask them, again, you need to put a pause in there because you want to let them think about it and stew over their answer and speak and not answer for them either. So I think that that's really important.
Yep, absolutely. Because how do you say that? Confused minds don't buy. And if we give them the answer in their head already, they didn't really think through that. They have to think through it themselves. Thank you so much for that. After we've dug into all of these layers of the consequences, it's super important to recap the problem before we move on. We are not asking them, oh, do you want to buy a policy now that we figured out your problem? No, we're not going to do that. We are saying, do you want this solution? We're asking.
So,
Miranda.
Jasmin, you guys are doing such a great job. I want to just pause for 2 seconds because there's probably a lot of new people on the line, and this is probably the #1 rookie mistake that people make. Okay, how many times, new people, have you went ahead and offered a plan to somebody and then they said they wanted to think about it? Has that ever happened to anyone? Yeah. What Jasmin's about to talk about is so important because people just want to see the money, right? Like, that's it. This is like the one thing we keep in our back pocket, and there's no point in showing them the money if they don't tell you that they want this policy. If you don't get a yes here on what she's about to talk to you about, do not put money on the table, okay? There should be probably at least one or so per week, Jazzy, would you agree with that, where you don't show money? Yeah. Because they tell you that they didn't answer these questions correctly. So I just wanted to pause for a second because this is posture. What she's about to do is posture, and you've got to get the yes that they want this before, because if they don't want it, it doesn't matter if it's $5 or $500.
Exactly.
So this is it. I screwed this up too when I was new, and that's what. But so yeah, now we can go into that.
Yes, thank you so much, Miranda, for the ad. Absolutely. So recap the problem. Don't ask them if you want to buy a policy. What we're saying is, do you want the solution? And like Miranda said, if you don't get a solid why, don't run over the red light, please, and cause an accident. Okay, you can drive back. You can drive back to the why. So confirm the solution they're looking for in a form of a question using their own words. Everything that Christina told me earlier, I'm going to recap now, and I'm going to get micro commitments. All right, Christina. So just to make sure that we are on the same page now, understanding what you're saying. So it is clear that your husband would have to generate $3,500 more to stay in Florida, right? And it's really hard to get a second job because he's working so much already. So as you shared with me, they would have to move away, pull the poor kids out of their environment, and your poor husband would have to start from scratch from everything, correct? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, that's correct.
So it sounds like your goal is to always make sure that they have a roof over their head and they don't have to struggle financially, right?
Yes, that would be the goal.
So let me ask you, do you think having a policy that would protect your mortgage and avoids this scenario, that it would benefit your husband and your children when your time comes?
Definitely, yes.
Mic drop. Mic drop, guys. Not if, when it happens. Unfortunately, we don't control anything, and it's going to happen. Because I noticed that a lot of new agents, oh, if you get sick, if you have an accident, even if you die, no, it's just a question of when, right? So yeah, this is the part of the script. And again, if you don't get a solid why, please get back, circle back, or also, reach out to your upline, but under no circumstances show prices. Don't. I know it's uncomfortable, but you're not doing yourself a favor. Your business is not going to stick if you don't dig into the why. We can submit issue left and right all the time, but you want quality clients, right? You want people that reach out to you in a year and a half when their situation has changed, when they got a child, when they're thinking about burial expenses, when they need retirement solutions. These clients that reach out to you even down the road, those are the ones that you dug deep enough here and really created a relationship. This is not rocket science. I know it feels like it, but it's quite simple. Study the script, get prepared before you meet with your clients, and think yourself through their solution first. So Christina, I don't know, but I know that there are some common questions usually that new agents have, right, in general about the why. So when you consult with your downline, what are, let's say, the 3 most common questions to a why that they give you?
So I think the biggest one is what happens if you're asking these questions and they're just giving you vague answers. They're just surface level answers and they're not allowing you to dig deeper. Absolutely.
Very good question. So at least push one more time. Go back. You have everything on black and white. You did the fact finding. You know the numbers. You wrote down all of their answers, right? The last thing a client wants to be called out on is being a liar. I know it sounds rough, but if you go back and you say, oh, Christina, I know that you've mentioned you're not too sure if you want this, or you think it's gonna be tough. Do you remember earlier when we checked your budget and I took your income off and it left your husband with just $2,000? So what I'm doing is I'm going back, always circle back. And then if you still can't push through it, reach out to your upline. Good question.
What if you start the process of the why and they just put that wall up and they say, why do I need to do this? I just want prices.
Yep, unfortunately that happens, that we have clients that just sit in front of you like that, with a big wall. Don't go through it. Take it away. Hey, if you don't need this, Bob, I'm going to be the first one to tell you that you don't need this. So why should we even go through prices if you don't really need this, right? Take it away. Again, I need to go through these questions to find the most economical solution for you. And guys, people always want what they can't have. So once you pull it away, it changes the whole dynamic again. And you are leading from the front again, not your client. And if that does not work, reach back out to your upline.
What if they just don't have the funds to buy products?
You mean if we just can't find the money for any? Yeah, okay. I know, and then that happens a lot too, is unfortunately, but honestly, there's always something. We work with so many carriers. We have so many different programs. Even if it's just an accidental for $5 a month, something is better than nothing. And if the problem is big enough and we did our job good enough to explain the solution, families are going to make it happen. But if they can't think through it alone, ask for help or go back to the fact finding. And people really make financial space for what's important to them. They hang a 70-inch TV in their wall. They pay for a $500 car payment. People make margin for what's important to them. So that means that the picture isn't clear yet. So go back to the why, back to the fact finding, look into their budget, and you can suggest changing a few things to make it happen. Awesome. Well, Miranda, I'm not sure if you want to add anything. Christina, if you want to add anything. I think I just love this topic, absolutely. And I wish and hope that all of you took notes here. If you have any questions, reach out to your upline. But thank you so much for having us on this call today. And it was awesome.
Job, you guys. Yeah, there was a couple questions in the chat bar. Some of them we may have answered, but I know this is probably a whole nother training, but what happens if there's a single person? In a nutshell, Jasmin, what would you say?
Absolutely. If there's a single person, somebody is going to take over the home. Absolutely. And it will most likely turn into like a critical period where somebody has to sell the home. So make sure that you choose questions that address that situation. If you know already that they're single, first of all, figure out who their beneficiary is, and then dig into the why. Where's the beneficiary? Do they have to fly here? Do they have to take time off from work? Do they have money to do all of that while they put the house on the market? Miss time. There's so much again that you can ask. Absolutely.
Yeah, like who's going to keep the house going with all the bills while it's for sale? Do they have that much money, disposable income, to keep the lights on, to keep the mortgage paid?
Do they have the money to pay for their own household and your household when you're dead?
Yep. Another one is, what do you say when the couple or individual doesn't want to do the fire drill with you?
Again, I take it away. I explain, hey, you know what? If you don't need this, I'm going to be the first one to tell you that you don't need this. But in order for me to think through an economical solution, I have to go through these questions with you. Try it at least once. If it doesn't work, ask for your upline. And the third time, I rather step back and lose a client than have a wishy-washy, policy sitting in my opt.
It's kind of like expecting a doctor to write a prescription for something when they don't know what the problem is. Right? Like, you wouldn't just come in and be like, hey, I'm sick. What are you going to give me? Like, you need to know, like, what's the deal, right? Type thing.
Good analogy. Absolutely.
But awesome. Good job, you guys. And I do believe that this is going to be a lot of people asking about recordings. I'm sure corporate will get that up. I assume it'll probably be in HQ somewhere. But awesome job, you guys. Go back through. This is not a topic that you're going to learn just by listening to this once. This is something that you've got to go back and master, but this is the sale, right? Where there is no emotion. This is just another bill, right? So we've got to go through, we've got to dig 7 layers deep. That's really the magic number. So that's 7 questions about one thing, and then we move on. 7 questions, right? Because really the surface level happens in like the first 1 or 2 questions. Yeah. So the magic happens beneath that. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. Time to hit the field, try to help some families and dig in and generate some emotion. Awesome job.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.